Greetings, Planning Commission. This is Daniel Hauk, Associate Planner with City of Oxnard Planning. I will be presenting on the wireless Monopine Tower project. The project is a request to construct and operate a 65-foot tall wireless communication tower. This tower is classified as a stealth facility. It'll be disguised as a pine tree, also known as a monopine, and there is associated ground equipment along with that will be in an enclosure adjacent to the monopole. The purpose of this proposal, as I'll show you in greater detail later, is to enhance the service for gap in coverage, primarily around the intersection of South Rice Avenue and East 5th Street. As you can see at the bottom left, this is a view of the front of the parcel. The property is 2400 Eastman Avenue. It is part of the Northfield Seagate specific plan. This is for the industrial park that is on the southeast edge of the city, as you can see in the vicinity map. It actually borders the county land and as well as East 5th Street. And on the bottom right, you can see it is the third property from Rice Avenue. So it is quite close to both of these corridors, which are actually both designated as scenic highways. I believe it's 240 feet approximately from 5th Street and about 400 and change from South Rice Avenue, but both within the 500-foot mark, which requires it to be a stealth facility. I've included this slide here of some additional pictures of the area around the property for some context. So at the top left here, we have from the intersection of 5th and Rice, looking at the corner of the industrial park there, in which the subject property would be the third property to the west. On the right here, we have a look at the back of that property. On the bottom left, we are actually north of the property on Candelaria Road, looking south at the front of the property. And then on the bottom right, we are on Rice Avenue, looking down Eastman Avenue. So from most of these vantage points, you likely will see this monopine. As you can see, a lot of the foliage, the trees in the area, they're not exactly that tall, so this will be probably the tallest tree in the vicinity. Here we have the zoning table. The entire area is industrial light and governed by the specific plan, as mentioned earlier. The zoning designation also is light manufacturing pretty much across the board. The only exception to this is to the south, we have the county land, as well as there is 5th Street and the easement for the railway that goes along there. We have the zoning maps for the general plan designation on the left, showing that it is industrial light as the surrounding area pretty much is. And on the right, the zoning designation, which is light industrial, again, as the area generally is. And in both, you can see the county zoned land directly to the south being the only exception. Some background on the property. Initially, from our records, it looks like a development design review for an industrial facility was approved in 1989. However, that did not look like it was built. Following this in 1991, a new proposal for an industrial office and the business was also approved as a development design review. If I remember right, this was for about a 19,000 square foot facility. However, following this development design review, a building permit was turned in to construct an alternative of this facility. That is what is currently existing on the property now. That building was actually significantly smaller, 9,486 square feet, and it was placed in an alternative location on the property from what was approved. The outdoor storage is a part of the business and approval. Um, on March 20th, 2023, a special use permit for wireless was submitted to propose the Monopine we are speaking about today. And that will be on the rear of the parking lot on the property, pretty much in the existing storage yard. This is the, as I mentioned earlier, the justification for the project on how it would increase the coverage and the signal strength of the area around the intersection. That is the target, as said by the applicant. The map does show that this that target does seem to have better coverage, and that's primarily for emergency services going through the area, for other travel, vehicular travel, as well as the neighboring industrial businesses will also benefit. Here we have the project plans. On the far left, the site plan. It has the building I spoke about, and you can see on the southeast area there is a dotted box. That is the area of where the facility will be located. If you move to the right, the middle, this is a zoomed in version of that. You can see the equipment enclosure within the dashed box with the tree on the border of that. And there are two trees as part of that on the very bottom of that diagram, which will be that will be part of additional landscaping that is part of the conditions, which I'll talk about here on, I believe, the next slide. And on the far right, we have a colored elevation of the monopine. As you can see, it has foul bark. It has a number of branches that will protrude a minimum of 12 inches beyond all antenna. And any antenna on the tower will be, I believe, painted and covered in antenna socks to help blend them in. It's all this together that classifies it as a stealth facility, which is mandated by its proximity to the scenic corridors. On this slide, we have just the photo simulations that were submitted by the applicant. As you can see, it is rather tall. In these photo simulations, I believe the branches start at 20, but the conditions of approval will have that at 15 to look a little more realistic. And you can also see the two similar type of trees that will be planted to help blend in this tree in the surrounding area where there isn't a lot of trees of that height. Here we have some specific conditions of approval to that are special to this project. Not that they haven't been in other projects before, but Conditions 15 through 23 require landscaping plans and certain landscaping standards to be met. They're much of them pretty blanket in terms of they appear in most permits with landscaping needed. However, also as part of these, there are special landscaping conditions which will require prior landscaping that isn't existing right now to be replaced, and that would be along the south property line as well as the eastern property line down to about probably where the tree starts at the end of the parking lot. This also includes the two similar pine or similar trees that will be planted in proximity. Then we have conditions 38, 39, 40, 42, 45, and 55. These are various requirements, but they all are for the disguise of the tower. That includes having the antenna saw, having 3.5 branches per lineal foot, and maintaining that. So that will not only make it a stealth facility again, but maintain it as a stealth facility throughout the life of the project. So the project was able to be exempt from CEQA under Class 3, which is for the construction of new small facilities or structures. Being that this is under 500 square feet in the area, and that it's pretty consistent with the other specific things that could be allowed under this exemption. This was pretty much no question able to be exempt, or really it was no question able to be exempt under Class 3, and not having any significant impact on the environment. Notice of exemption, which was included in the attachments, has been done. In closing, the staff recommendation is that you find the project exempt from environmental review pursuant to the California Environmental Quality Act, and that'd be Section 15303, which is the Class 3 exemption I just talked about. And the second being to adopt Resolution 2023XX, approving planning and zoning permit number 23-530-02, subject to certain findings and conditions. One other thing I would like to highlight that I did not previously, but is important as part of the approval, is this tower is 65 feet, which is actually 25 feet over the allowed 40 feet by the specific plan, and that is allowed with the approval of this special use permit. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you.